So I'm supposed to be an artist, but to be honest, it's not happening. So this is going to be a status update on my journey to becoming successful as an artist slash illustrator slash designer. And yeah, here we go. To start with, I've got a time lapse. Well, it's not a time lapse, it's just me working on a piece of artwork that I've been working on over the last few videos. It's something I did years ago, to be honest, but I just thought it would be better than looking at my face on a screen and just having a giant talking head. But maybe I'll change this up for future videos. I mean, one thing I did notice about these types of time lapses is, like, I've got this title, Becoming a Successful Artist, but obviously what I'm doing now is this anime, manga style of artwork. And most people that are probably thinking about becoming artists aren't going to be specifically manga artists. You know, most people are just going to be people that like to paint people, landscapes, animals, whatever. And, you know, this niche of mine is probably going to put off any potential viewers. So this is just a personal observation about sort of moving forward. I mean, perhaps time lapses or just watching me work and having that in the background isn't necessarily bad per se, but just in future, maybe when we get onto episode 100 or maybe a bit before that, gearing it specifically towards what I'm doing might not be of interest. But then at the same time, maybe there are people that want to be anime artists. I mean, imagine a lot of people, this was how I was when I was young, you look at what is around you in the sort of pop culture of your surroundings and you sort of think, okay, I'm growing up looking at, I don't know, cartoons and anime and video games, and I want to do that. So I kind of feel like a lot of people grow out of anime by the time they sort of really kind of get stuck into this whole art game. I mean, they might go sort of more semi-realistic concept art, still having a lot of that kind of anime manga influence, but people that still stick with it into their 30s or 40s is probably quite rare. And so yeah, it's just a little observation. But well, I've started the time lapse or the video now, so I might as well just continue showing it, and then for the future one or two people that might see this in 10 years and think, oh, I wonder how he got on with that. I want to see what it all looks like when it was finished. You know, this is for you. But yeah, moving forward, I guess the thing is, I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, okay, to people that don't care about anime, they'll look at what I've got up on the screen right now, especially the fact it's upside down, and they'll think, well, firstly, why is it upside down? Well, artists, I guess, would realise that I'm doing it in order to, you know, you shift your paper or your canvas or whatever, you rotate it in order to get better movements with your wrist and elbow so that you can create smoother lines and not get kind of wonky, wobbly lines. But anyway, but yeah, the content itself, yeah, people are going to look at it and think it's a bit juvenile. This looks like something a 15, 16-year-old would do. But like I say, I mean, I'm now in my 40s and I'm still drawing this kind of stuff. And perhaps at this age, I should have had all the success that you would kind of expect an artist to have been working, at least. I mean, like, I haven't been doing it full time, but at least part time for over 20 years professionally, I suppose you could say. Although what I'm drawing isn't what I spend most of my time doing. I think you could probably say most of my time is, well, it depends how you want to categorize it. I mean, I've done web design, graphic design, tattooing, just shading and rendering. I probably spend a lot more time on the shading and rendering aspect of art than I do the drawing. Typically with most drawings, you know, let's just say the drawing part can take up, I don't know, maybe only takes up 20% of the whole process of creating a fully coloured rendered image, and most of the rendering part and the detail towards the end, the colours, laying the shading down, that's what takes the time. So when I kind of think, well, how much time have I actually spent drawing? I mean, it's been significant. You know, there's been 20 years of doing drawings, and I've done hundreds of them. But to maybe someone who just does drawing, you know, just hasn't concentrated on any colour work. You know, people that might want a pencil or ink for comics and stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if you could get to the age of 20 and have done more actual drawing than I have. So I don't know, just saying stuff. But yeah. So at the minute, like I say, I'm feeling ill. I've had this illness now for 10 days. It started like a flu. It's gotten better. Like I've lost the sore throat. My nose isn't running so much. The cough isn't too bad. When I get flus and illnesses, it tends to escalate into chest infections. I've got asthma. I always have. Used to be pretty bad when I was a kid. Mostly grew out of it, or you know, my body adapted to it. And it doesn't affect day-to-day life. The only problems I have are cardio work. Anything too vigorous, my lungs don't like it. So activity-wise, so far as an adult, has mostly just been training at the gym or rock climbing. So because it's just short bursts, it's not intensive cardio stuff. But yeah, it just sucks, because you think, okay, I want to become an artist. I might even start documenting my process. You know, not that I'm not an artist, but like a full-time professional artist. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to start documenting my process to get there, because there's now a time limit, so to speak. You know, I've got to consider or figure this out. Otherwise, I need to find a completely different job, career, and I mean, it might get to the point where, yeah, I just have to give up a 40-year-long dream. Well, I don't know about 40 years, but I don't know when I first had the dream of becoming an artist as a profession. Maybe when I was 10. So let's just say I don't know, 30-year-long dream. I don't want to give that up, but yeah. So I have to figure this out. But yeah, trouble is, I've got low energy, low motivation. I think being ill as well, it's messed me up. Like I'm struggling to sleep at night, and then I'm kind of feeling tired during the day. There was one day during the week where I felt really tired at about 8 p.m, and I'm a bit of a night owl, so I don't normally go to bed. I don't even have a normal, but let's just say midnight would be early for me. So yeah, I went to bed at 8 p.m, and then I woke up about, I don't know, it was about 3 hours later, and then that then threw me, and I ended up staying up until about 6 o'clock in the morning that day, until I then went back to sleep again. You know, I get the idea. You're supposed to, you know, get up every day at the same time, which is another issue being freelance and not having an employed job with a set start time. I've never, well, not never, because I have had that during short periods in my life, but generally most of my adult life, at least, has been me being allowed to wake up whenever I wanted, and I've never really put a waking time in place. I don't really have a fixed schedule, and I think that is kind of that makes it even worse than when I get ill, because yeah, I'm then having to deal with this extra issue of sleep habits being messed up, and creates all other kinds of problems. And I think just having low motivation, it makes you do bad things. Like, I don't really want to cook, I don't really want to eat. I actually went out yesterday. I went to the cinema actually to see Beetlejuice, which was, I guess what I expected. It was very mediocre. I would never care to ever watch it again. But I mean, I think once you've watched over 1,000 films and movies in your life, you get to a point where you kind of know, well, you know what's good, what's bad. You can kind of judge. You know, you have a different opinion. I think if I'd never seen the Beetlejuice sequel, I would have thought, yeah, this is a good film. But because I really liked the first film, and the second was just not very good. And because I've lived and experienced different films over many years, the bar is now a lot higher, basically. Anyway, so I went out the other day and I managed to do that despite sort of feeling not so great. But I don't want to completely cut out all socialising in my life, otherwise I'll never see or talk to anyone. So I need to get out the house. But yeah, it was because I didn't really feel like eating. I ended up just going into McDonald's and grabbing McDonald's. I tried to quit junk because obviously not good for you. But especially when you're ill, you want something a bit more nutritious. And I feel a bit bad about that. I shouldn't have done it. But at the same time, it was there. I was not hungry per se, but I knew I would need food. And I was out and there was a McDonald's a minute walk away from the cinema. So long story short, had one. Feel a bit rough for it, probably. But is as it is. So yeah. Like I say, this is just going to be a little bit of an update just to say a few things, observations on current selection of artworks and things. So last night, like I say, didn't feel great, but I had this week's plan to work towards artwork for this card game that I've been working on, and basically it didn't happen. What I did do instead was just add a couple of extra listings online. I sell on Amazon and eBay, sell my art prints. So I thought I would throw a few of those on Amazon UK and Amazon USA. I've got a Amazon handmade account on each of those platforms. So I put a couple of products up. And I'm just sort of thinking, yeah, okay, well this I've sort of maxed out what I can do. I don't really sell them, that's the trouble. Like, I'll get a sale every so often, so it's not like they don't sell at all, but I'm not getting sort of 50 sales per day on each of these platforms, which I'd ideally like. And so when I put a new product up, I'm sort of doing it thinking, what's this going to result in? Maybe 2 or 3 sales over the next 12 months. And then if it takes like a couple of hours to, create mock-up images of a piece of artwork, and then to create a description for it and consider the title and the keywords that go onto it, actually put it onto each of the platforms, I start to think, is it even worth my time? But it's like with all things, like even this video, which no one's going to listen to. I know no one's going to listen to it, but if I don't record it, then I will not get into the habit of recording. And sometimes even if you know what you're doing is unfruitful, or you're not doing it at a high level, because I'm not feeling too great and whatever, just doing it is something positive. I don't think there's a world. I mean, mate, I'm trying to think. Is there a time when it's actually better to just sit on your arse and do nothing? Maybe, but I don't know. Right now, I'm feeling as though I might as well just put something out, even if it's just almost pointless. So yeah. I'm just observing the fact that what I'm doing is, it's something, but I would like to probably change it. I was actually looking at some other artwork by other artists that are kind of doing what I'm doing at the moment, and I was just thinking, yeah, my stuff sucks. I mean, all artists think their work sucks, and everyone likes everyone's stuff better than their own. Not everyone, but it's kind of a known thing. But yeah, I was just looking at this guy's artwork who I admire, and I just thought, yeah, what he was doing looked very high class professional. What I'm doing looks professional, but doesn't have that high class. Like I say, because it's a lot of this anime stuff. I feel like it's got this juvenile quality that is probably going to appeal more to just 15-year-olds, but they're not really the sort of people that ultimately are going to be spending money to buy artwork. So how do you overcome that and still do what you want to do? Because I still like this juvenile, naive anime style of artwork. How can I make it so that I still like doing what I'm doing, but so that other people do as well? Maybe there isn't an answer to it, but So it's something I was thinking about. So yeah, it's just a little thing in the background, knowing that I guess the content or the style is going to have to change. And I've said this before, and I'm probably going to keep saying it 1,000 times over the next 6 months until I actually do anything about it. But the more I say it to myself, the more I'll convince myself that yes, it is a good idea to mix up what I'm doing. That's the idea. But yeah, I was watching a video about content creation. Maybe it just popped up on my newsfeed because I've started posting a few more videos recently. And it was funny. The message basically was like, you've got to be, you know, what they say, you've got to be consistent in what you're doing, and you've got to persevere and not quit if you don't go viral within the first few weeks or months or whatever. This quite prominent, well, what would you call them? YouTuber, social media person, podcaster. They had basically mentioned that it took them 7 years before they blew up. I don't know what blowing up means. Maybe that means gaining millions of followers over the course of a few months instead of millions of followers over the course of the 7 years up until that point. But yeah, it's funny how on YouTube, I remember you used to be able to create about 50 videos over the course of maybe a year, and you would have gained 10,000, 50,000 followers, something like that, or you would have had, you know, a significant viewership. And then the advice was like, oh no, you got to go for more than a year until you sort of build up a following. You got to persevere with this stuff. You know, you might be thinking, oh, you know, I just want an audience and I just want to follow in. But you gotta be patient. You've now got to wait like 3 years until you kind of build up authority and trust and refine your videos and figure out what the hell you're doing. And now the message seems to be, no, you just got to do it for 7 years. So just be patient. You know, go out every day and know that it's going to pay off long term. You know, and I can imagine in a few years, so it's going to be, you just need to persevere for 10 years. If you just keep at it 10 years, and then it'll be, 20 years. If you just keep at this thing for about 80 years, you might finally figure out YouTube or whatever it is. And, it gets a bit ridiculous because it's so weird with things in life. You're trying to figure out at what point do I realise this thing is not working and try something else. Because it seemed like, I don't know whether this was just when I was for being younger or whether it was like back in the day, you could try a thing and you sort of persevere with it and you kind of know if it's going to work or not. I mean, even when you're a younger kid, you try different things. You might think, oh, I'm going to try, just try different activities growing up, try and learn to swim and ride a bike and, I don't know, go to karate and play football, whatever. Yeah, I'm just thinking of some of the other things I did. Yeah, I went to gymnastics class for about 3 lessons, and then I realised, no, this isn't for me. But that was the thing, you did 3 lessons and realised it wasn't for you. But yeah, like it seemed like you could do a thing 2 or 3 times. Or maybe this is what people do in general. Most of the time, yeah, you just sort of you do a thing. You go to a club, or you go to join a team and be part of a thing, or try a new activity or hobby or something. And you might, get the bits for it. You'll try it a few times, or maybe you'll try it for like 3 or 4 months, and then you'll realise, no, this isn't for me. You might think, oh, you know what, I'm going to take up scuba diving. You buy all the equipment, or the regulator and the tanks and the wetsuit, and you think, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be a kind of scuba diver. Maybe you've had a lesson and you think, yeah, I can go exploring and this is going to be my thing. And then over the course of a year you realise you've only been out in your scuba gear like 4 times, and those 4 times were like 10 months ago, and so you just sell all your scuba gear and give up that hobby or activity or whatever, because if you're not maybe you still like it and you have intentions to do it, but I mean, we have a million intentions to do a million things, and surely at some point, if you're going to do you're going to sustain something or not. And yeah, I think, like in my own experience, like I started rock climbing about 12 years ago, mainly indoor bouldering. And I got into that, and then I wanted to do it again. But then even after that initial honeymoon period ended, I still wanted to carry on rock climbing, and I've been doing it ever since. And that's something where you know it's not that kind of fad, that phase that you're going to go through. It's going to be a consistent thing because you want to keep doing it. But even rock climbing, sometimes I turn up and I'm like, you know what, I just don't want to be here. Not really in the mood for it. I mean, but although at worst, it's only ever been a case of mild frustration that I'm not climbing as well as I had hoped. But I normally still get something out of it, so I would never want to stop going. Which is another thing about being ill. I haven't been rock climbing in a couple of weeks now, which is probably good for my fingers because I was getting a bit of fatigue, especially from my sort of middle fingers on both hands. And it's probably been quite good to give them a bit of a rest. But at the same time, I'm going to no doubt lose a lot of strength and getting a bit jittery from not being able to do a lot of exercise, which is probably to some degree even perpetuating sort of a second level of sort of fitness and illness or something. But yeah, so this thing about posting for 7 years, just be consistent for 7 years and know it's going to pay off. Yeah, but what if it doesn't? Because like I say, the goalpost keeps changing. It used to be, stay consistent for 3 years, then stay consistent for 5 years, then stay consistent for 7 years, and then it's going to pay off. But what if it doesn't? It's all good and well taking advice from someone who has quote unquote blown up on the internet and they've got 3 or 4 million subscribers, and they say, yeah, see, I just had to be consistent for 7 years. But then what about the millions of people who perhaps were also consistent for 7 years, who you just don't hear of because they're not popular, they didn't blow up, they don't have a voice, no one knows who the hell they are? Like, it would be interesting to actually find people, probably, I mean, maybe this is because I'm in this same situation, but find people who have tried a thing for ages but still haven't actually got anywhere or at least haven't got to where you would expect or they would expect, or I would find that quite fascinating, to just find people who, yep, this is what I've been doing this quite consistently for the last 10 years, and this is where I'm at. Especially if it would be interesting to see, just, I'm sure there are people who, despite their best efforts, they're not where they might hope, or other people would expect at least. It's like with artwork, some people realise, you know what, I'm not technically very good at this art thing, I just don't have the hand-eye coordination or the sort of memory recall or the aesthetic sense to be good at art, but I really enjoy it, and I've been doing the art for 20 years, and I don't do it because I want to be a professional, I do it just because it's a hobby and I love it, whatever. I'm sure there's quite a few people like that. But you're always kind of led to believe that if you practice something for 10,000 hours or at least a decade, you keep doing the same thing over and over and over, you will eventually get better. And you would expect that someone who, even if they were just a hobbyist, painting one picture a week for 20 years, say, you would expect them to be better than even an amateur, kid who's been maybe drawing every day for 3 years or whatever. So yeah, there you go, cough, proof that I'm ill. But yeah, 7 years, that's a long time to wait to see if you finally gain the success that you might be after. And like I say, the goalpost will no doubt change to 10 years if you were to start now. And in that time, it's like, I mean, I don't want to be a professional YouTuber or something, but I'm using that example since this is a video that's going to go on YouTube. Like, what if I'm thinking, right, okay, I'm going to start doing the videos, and I realise, it's just going to be a long process. I've just got to be consistent with it for 10 years. But then eventually, it's going to be so good that I'll be earning, thousands of pounds or euros or dollars or I don't know, yen, whatever. I'm going to be earning big bucks from this thing. But what if it doesn't happen? I mean, what if the goalpost changes, which it probably will do with AI, and in a year's time, 90% of all content being produced is AI content. It's like, do you really think that you're still going to be able to compete with that in a year's time, let alone 10 years, when 99% of all content is AI generated? I don't know. But the AI thing, that's a scary thing worth devoting an entire sort of topic to. It's something that I've been thinking about for, again, a long, long time. AI is the kind of thing, that topic that has blown up over the last couple of years. Well, I was thinking about it way before ChatGPT existed, or Midjourney, or whatever. Like probably about 15 years prior to that. Like, I genuinely projected into the future of how this would likely be, and I mean, I've still projected further into the future of where it's going, and it's quite concerning. But yeah, that's definitely something to that most artists, certainly, or anyone, should be taken seriously now. Posting for 7 years, that's a long commitment. I mean, it just doesn't seem natural to wait 7 years for anything, and then the argument will be, well, this is the thing, no one would think it was natural. If you were out in the wild and you were hunting your prey in order to maybe feed yourself or whatever, if it wasn't working out, if you couldn't hunt your food or gather your resources in a certain time frame, it would mean death. So humans aren't really evolved to think about surviving on really long scales, and so that's why a lot of people don't do it, and perhaps that's why a lot of people don't succeed. But at the same time, I just wonder how long people should be spending committing to a thing before realising they should give up. But I'm in a situation where, like I say, I've been part-time doing art for a couple of decades. So this is like one of those things, like, maybe if you're really good at it, like, because I was never like naturally talented, so it's kind of something I had to work at. Maybe if you're naturally talented and you also aren't just doing it part-time, but you're at a point where you're getting paid pretty well to do it full-time at a younger age, you can have a different experience. I can only talk from my own experience about this thing, but how much do you commit? Do you wait until you're 80 years old knowing that, well, it's going to pay off in the end? And it's like, okay, so you've just been struggling and waiting and just trying to survive, but at least you get 5 to 10 years, if you're lucky, to enjoy your success at the very end. Maybe all those things you kind of wanted, like to be able to just pay your bills and not struggle on a daily basis or whatever throughout an entire lifetime. It would be nice to have that a bit earlier, wouldn't it? So another issue I'm finding, just with the artwork that I've got at the moment, so I want to sell it, and like I say, some people do buy it, but the idea is that people don't like being sold to, and that's a difficult one for artists that create artwork, and then they, to sustain it, professional artists that want a full-time career, they have to let people know that it's for sale. So I don't. Maybe this is very obvious to some people, but to me it seems kind of weird when you're trying to, you produced a product, you then think, right, I want to sell this so that I can make some money to enable me to produce more products. It's like, right, okay, yeah, we'll get that, but okay, but then you're telling me that I'm not allowed to tell anyone that this is for sale, because apparently people don't like letting being told that things are for sale. People don't like, buy this thing, I've got a deal 10% off this week only. It feels salesy, it feels ungenuine. You're going to lose an audience, or you're going to lose whatever. And it's fine to have a free audience. It's fine to just create good products, know that no one's going to buy them, and just have people admire it. That's cool. Not everyone has to buy from you. So if ever I put out any kind of online content or offline content, if I put on an art gallery, I would still like people to just come along and say, yeah, I enjoyed that. Not, and I wouldn't expect every single person to be like, yes, I enjoyed it and I want to now buy a piece of your artwork. The same as online, I'm happy for people to enjoy it, and it's not all about the money. But obviously, like I say, in order to be able to create more things and have the time to create more things, you'll need a certain percentage of people to buy some of the things that you've created up until that point. And it's weird because, I've done this in the past. I've sort of just said, okay, I've got this thing, just letting you know this is available, for sale on art prints, or I've got it available for sale on a t-shirt. Because you want to notify people, because you think people, especially on something like Instagram, you can be an artist posting your artwork and people go, oh yeah, pretty, and then they scroll to the next thing, and then they'll see your thing the next day pop up, oh yeah, very nice, and then they'll scroll to the next thing. If there's no, this is another marketing slogan, the call to action, if there's no click this link in my bio to go ahead and buy this as a product, if there's no awareness that this isn't just me posting a digital image on, for fun on Instagram, this is actually a product that can be purchased, if there's no awareness of that, or if you're not making people aware, how do people know that they can even buy it? I suppose I'm getting to the point where I'm realising that, well, just forget about it. You just you post your artwork, or create your build your audience or whatever, just doing the things you want to do. And then I guess you would just say later down the line, like if you had an audience, you'd just say, okay audience, look, this is something I've been creating in order to sell. Not specifically saying buy it, here's a discount code, even though you kind of want to, but you sort of you would insert it in there kind of sideways, just saying, oh yeah, this is something I've been doing for not for you, not for my audience, but for this imaginary audience of actual buyers that buy my things. And for those, not for you, I don't want to sell anything to you, because I know you don't want to be sold to, but for the people, the imaginary people that do buy my things, I want to give them a discount code, and this is for them, it's not for you. Just making it very clear that this discount code of 15% off, because I want to reward my loyal customers or whatever, this is for them. So just letting you know, just making it clear that this is a thing that I'm doing for other people, but not you. So maybe that's how you have to how you have to approach it. That seems so stupid though. Or you just you do it subtly, like you just, it's like in passing you have a conversation, and you don't meet someone and off the bat say, hello, my name is Ben, now buy this product. But you say, oh yeah, so I'm just working on some products that I'm trying to sell to customers at the moment, and as part of a conversation, a bigger conversation, and then it's like, oh yeah, what sort of products? And then you suggest what you've been doing and put it forward. But so yeah, that's just another little observation thing. I haven't really got a solid point or a conclusion from any of this. It's just little things I've been thinking about. But yeah, another thing I'm just thinking about, the good thing right now that I've got a time I keep calling it a time lapse because I normally do time lapses. That these aren't massively sped up like 500% or anything though. But the good thing about having an artwork on the screen right now is the fact that right now I have my eyes shut because as part of my, God, I sound like I'm like a 95-year-old lady, right? Oh, moany old lady right now. Oh, my illness. Oh, my part of my illness. But no, part of my illness is the fact that I've got like these are sort of eye pains going on, and I've had eye issues, eye strain, eye pains for most of my life since the age of about 16, and I get them at the best of times, but yeah, I'm dealing with it quite a bit now, and when I feel a bit run down, they tend to get a bit worse. So haven't had a migraine recently for a good few days, which is good. That's something. Along with the sore throat, that kind of went sort of last week. But yeah, it's good that you can then just talk and not feel like, oh, I need to look at a camera. But there's another part of me that thinks, oh, maybe I should be just presenting what I'm saying to a camera rather than just ranting into a microphone. But like I say, I can do whatever I want because no one is listening to these videos. So it's all just saying things that need addressing and trying to figure out very slowly in the background how certain things are going to be addressed. Because the goal is there, but the obstacles are there as well. This is the trouble. You see a lot of, you can see a video about how to be successful at X. Insert your thing here. But I'm sure it is mentioned, but perhaps not in equal amounts. This idea of like, well, what about the obstacles? What are you going to do about your specific obstacles? I mean, obviously, everyone always says, oh, you wake up and you've got, let's just say you get 6 hours of sleep a night. That gives you 18 hours to face the day. It's like, well, firstly, 6 hours for most people is going to be too little sleep. And especially, I want to say, well, it depends. But yeah, let's just say for most people, you're going to need maybe 8 or 9 hours. That seems to be pretty common knowledge that most people have that. And anyone else, they just like to boast, oh, I only need like 2 hours sleep. It's like, okay, well, good luck enjoying your dementia when you're like 60 years old because you've been sleep deprived your entire life. But yeah, some people like to just boast about how little sleep they get and how they force themselves to just work through it. But it's just not healthy. It's not good for you. Yeah, in so many ways, it doesn't help with like just your day-to-day recovery. I'd rather feel fresh and focused, as much as is possible right now. Given having more sleep than have a lower quality of life and not feel as sharp and the rest of it from lack of sleep. But I've kind of lost my train of thought. I was talking about sleep. Oh yeah, I was talking about obstacles. And then there's this time. The advice is you have 18 hours to do things, and like there isn't any other obstacles. Firstly, that you don't have 18 hours. If you're getting a good night's sleep, then you should be, let's just say, asleep for 8 hours. But then even at the sort of the front and tail end of going to sleep and getting up, like you don't. I mean, some people do, but I don't literally just run to my bedroom, open up the door, slam it behind while meanwhile doing a running jump straight into bed, and as soon as my head hits the pillow, I'm snoring away, and then as soon as I wake up, I just run, I just throw the cover aside and run out the room and start living life. So it doesn't really work like that. And so you need wind down time and you need easing into the daytime. And I think it's generally better if you don't have an alarm clock waking you up. This probably isn't going to be something that most people can do, but I don't have an alarm clock that wakes me up, and so I like to sort of ease myself into it. Or even if I do have an alarm clock, I don't like to just, get up, bolt upright out of bed, and quickly, then run out of bed and get on with my day. I like to sort of ease into it because your brain is still coming on fully online at that point. It just is, and so you haven't got these times. So yeah, you might need at minimum, 15 hours to sort of just get into bed. If you wear pajamas, you're going to have to put pajamas on. You might want to spend some time in the morning making your bed, and if you dumped your clothes, your yesterday's clothes to the side, you might want to take those towards where the laundry's done, or wash them up or whatever. There's just so many little things in the day that when you take it all into account, you take into account, well, I need to go to a supermarket to buy food, and I need to write a list of the food to buy, and then I need to go through the cupboards, check what I've got, maybe open up a few boxes and see how much stuff is still in there or whatever. You have to do a food stock take, then you write a list, then you go to the supermarket, then you buy food, you fill it up into your trolley, then you have to transfer it over to a car, say, or how it, maybe people are getting it delivered, but then it has its own problems. You have to wait around for a delivery driver to come, and that can just be dead time. But yeah, there's just all these things, and then you've got to pack away the food after you've got it to your house, and then you've got to decide what you're eating. Do you need to learn any recipes in order to cook your food, or is there anything else you need to take into account? And then you've got to cook the food, you've got to eat the food, and you've got to go to toilet throughout the day. You've got to, I don't know, just get a drink or get a snack. Maybe just stretch your legs. You haven't got 18 hours in a day. You've probably got about 10 hours, because there's just things in life. If you've got kids, it's like, you've got far less time, because you've got to manage their lives as well. Or even if you've got a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband or wife, it's to some degree you've got to manage them. You've got to manage their problems. Maybe they're having an issue, or your friends are having an issue with something, and it's like, okay, well, they can't do it. Your kid can't cook dinner, or your friend doesn't know how to fix their computer, so you'll have to go over and help them with it. And all these little things just come up throughout life, and these sort of, I don't know if you'd call them efficiency gurus or productivity bros or whatever, but just this idea that, you can do it, you can feel this and you can do that. It's just like, what planet are you living on? Like, life isn't just this, very convenient, rational, fits in a box type thing. And maybe it's true as well when you've got money. If you've got money, you could hire a staff. Hire someone else to cook your food, or you just go out and eat. Hire someone else to drive you to a place, and you can just do business on your phone as you're getting driven somewhere in your Uber or your private limousine or whatever it is. Or just all the day-to-day stuff, all the automation of everything, whether it's your social media feeds or running of parts of your business or something. Yeah, I mean, if you just got money and you're like, okay, I want to start a new thing. I want to become in my case, artist. And it's like, okay, well, I've got a few million in the bank. I can afford to devote that to the cause, to get, to kickstart this whole process. So I'm not having to wait around, or I don't have to do half these jobs myself. Yeah, maybe that's, you have more time in your day, but I'm getting a bit disillusioned, because I see so many of these experts talking about how to be and how to do things, and I'm like, yeah, but I can tell you're just, you're the sort of person that, you're doing pretty well. You're pretty well off. you've got the success, and with that has come money to be able to automate whatever it is to begin with. So, but everyone takes advice from the successful people because they want to know, they want to learn from someone who's made it. No one wants to listen to a loser who doesn't have the answers, because everyone wants the answers. They want it quick, they want it now. But, you're not them. And maybe the reason that you're not successful and you are struggling, excuse me, is because, you're not them. You don't have the money. You don't have the ability to do what they want to do. And trouble is, if you say this, you'll get this almost like this anger from people saying, "Bro, just go out and do it." None of us want to, do our reps, and we all wish that there was an easy path, but you just got to do the work. And it's like, I agree, you've got to do the work. Nothing's going to get handed to you. You've got to work hard. You've got to be prepared to make sacrifices. I get all of that, but people are going to make different, or going to need to make different levels of sacrifice, or going to need to devote different amounts of energy to things. And people are just constituted differently. People are dealt a different hand. People have certain advantages or disadvantages. And it seems kind of weird and dumb to kind of get angry at people for perhaps potentially not being super successful, or complaining that there's an issue. Because sure, at the end of the day, like I say, you've got to get on with it. And maybe you should spend less time complaining and more time doing. But if you're feeling a lot of negative emotion from like a lack of success, for example, how else are you supposed to process that? If you don't process it and you just bottle it up, you're just going to end up having like, mental health issues or physical health issues, just stress. And so I think you need to do it. Not only that, but you need to do it with other people. You need, like, sometimes it's so refreshing to find someone just say, "Look, I'm really struggling right now, and I'm having this problem and that problem, and I don't think there's a way forward." And because even you do find a way forward in the end, but sometimes it feels as though it's not. And I just prefer the realistic nature of admitting that some of us have problems. Some of us don't have problems. Some of us are struggling, but they can just, they got whatever they've been dealt a different set of cards. They can just get on with it. They got more resilience or the fortitude to just get their head down and get on with it. I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm sure there are a lot of people who just can't do that, who don't have the mental fortitude, or they have certain shortcomings or personality defects or personal environmental issues or something that's preventing them from being optimal. If you had a shit childhood that was none of your fault, and now you are where you are, like, okay, I'm an adult now, I'm dealing with all this trauma, I'm dealing with all this shit that has happened in my life. It's like, okay, what, you're supposed to just be able to cope and manage everything in the same way that someone who hasn't had that has had it. Or maybe, and then you'll get someone who says, "Oh, well, I had trauma, I had problems when I was a kid," and maybe they did, and it's like, okay, but then maybe you had different genetics, or maybe there's something else going on. People are so different, and I think people should be allowed to just be honest and say, I'm struggling, and I'm going to complain about it. As long as you don't lose sight of the goal, as long as you don't think, I'm therefore going to give up on life. But even if you feel like you want to give up on life, you should still be able to say it. The trouble is, if you completely give up on life, that's when you lose. As long as you keep going, you know that there's always a chance that things could change. I mean, it might be like a 0.001% chance, but once you've resigned to completely giving up on something, life or whatever it is, any endeavour. That's it. That from that point on, you're never, you're done, and there's never any chance of change. And I think maybe this is I'm just thinking about people that experience depression and stuff. When you're young, you don't really know any difference. Like maybe you haven't overcome a hardship or built up certain resilience, and you might get depressed and you genuinely think, this is it, life's not worth living, I might as well just end it all. And up until that point, you're probably even right in thinking that. I'm not advocating people kill themselves, but I'm saying your thoughts are correct, but that doesn't mean that over time they're going to stay correct. And if you can ride out the bad times and just live life long enough, not always, but you do. I think you can learn to become more resilient or learn coping strategies with things. Well, I know that I have, but it's hard to get there because you just don't know any different. But as soon as you've faced a harder problem, you're like, okay, I faced a harder problem, I've overcome this. Like even if you've had a massive mental breakdown, if you've overcome it once, the next time it happens, is you're going into it knowing that you overcame it once. Whereas the first time it happens, first time you have some devastating thing happen to you or go mental, basically, you're completely unprepared for it, and it's not great. So I don't know, that's just a weird little tangent about mental health. It does kind of make me wonder, like, the idea with producing video content was to talk about moving towards artistry as an artist, but I feel like most of what I'm talking about is just, it's not about picking up a pencil or a paintbrush or a graphics tablet pen. It's just general observations about things. But as for myself, I'm trying to deal with this problem of fatigue, focus, motivation, and just feeling crappy. And the trouble is, when you feel like that, you don't say draw as much. When you've not drawn for a few weeks, few months, I don't know if anyone else is like this, but for me, I find it insanely difficult to get back into it if I've had a break from anything. Just getting back into the swing of it. It's like your mind changes. So, okay, well, we don't do art now. We survive in a different way, and your whole being just alters, and you're not really thinking about painting and drawing. You need to be in that environment or in that scene or in that mode of producing work consistently in order to sustain it. The hardest thing about I'm just going to say art, but all things, is sustaining it. Like, I mean, when you get the enthusiasm, when the whim comes, and you think, yeah, you know what, I'm motivated to create something or try something. I mean, that's fairly easy because it's fun. It's a fun feeling, but it's difficult to then continue doing that. After that initial buzz of like, oh, I've got this really good idea, I want to see if I can actually turn this into an actual manifested thing on a page. Like, and that's a fun question. But yeah, well, after you've done it, to then do it again and to sort of have a second go at it can be quite difficult. But what's really difficult is after you've then had a break from it and you need to come back to it. I think that can be very challenging, just trying to figure out just how you get back into it. I find it almost physically painful if I've taken a week or two or whatever away from something, and maybe it's because that kind of dread then builds up in the background. Like if you're, maybe naturally I'm quite scared. Basically, I'm not naturally talented at art, therefore I'm naturally quite scared of art and drawing, for example, and therefore if I've had a break, if I'm engaging in it, I can kind of deal with it and kind of overcome it. But then if I have a break from it, I remember how terrifying it is, and then I don't want to do it, and then I magnify this terror in my brain over time. I'm like, oh no, I know I've got to draw this character or whatever. I've got this character that needs drawing that I've said to myself that I will do, or that, worst case scenario, that a client needs. Oh, that's not good at all when they need something and I'm not in the mood. But yeah, certainly if it's something that I need to do, it's just, I might put it off. There was a piece of artwork I did. It was a Dragon Ball Z Vegeta artwork. I did a Goku with like tattoos over him, and a few people said, oh, you should do a Vegeta one next. And I thought, okay, yeah, I'll do that. In fact, I might even do like, I could create 10 characters, maybe all Dragon Ball characters, maybe other characters that just look a bit badass tattooed. I thought it'd be quite fun, but I didn't. And then a year went by and I was like, oh shit, I need to create this Vegeta artwork. I said I would do it, and knew I would do it in my mind, and it became, I've got a million projects like this. the ideas I've had which are kind of on the back burner, or I just haven't started yet. And I think it took about 5 years until I finally did it. It wasn't even that hard to do. It was a fairly quick piece of artwork. Probably only took about 20 hours or something. And it was what it was. But yeah, if I could have just got that out of the way, it was just haunting me. It was haunting me for ages. It was a massive deal in my mind to create this piece of artwork, but in the end, like I say, it just was. It was an artwork. It was okay. This is a nice little piece of artwork. I can maybe sell this on a T-shirt or a few prints, and that's it. It wasn't perhaps the world's greatest masterpiece, but you'd think it was, the amount of stress that went into trying to produce it. So yeah, being consistent and actually doing the jobs you think about as soon as possible rather than putting them off is definitely ideal, but not always easy. So yeah, at the minute, like I say, I've got I might try and put a couple of these products up on Amazon onto eBay. Again, I don't really sell a lot through eBay, like a dozen sales a year or something, maybe a few dozen. So I don't even know if they'd even sell. Like I could put them up now, they might even sell for a year, but I've got the mock-ups for them. They'll only take half an hour just to put up on eBay. So I might do that as a little job towards, I don't know if I'd say that's a job towards artistic success, but I like to feel like there are these little things in the background that I'm doing that are maximising just the things that I have. Well, to the best of my knowledge. Like I'm sure there's a way to like seriously maximise what I've got. Like if I could find someone who was happy to promote my artwork, and let's say they had 10 million followers, and 1% of their followers went on to buy my artwork, that would be far more. That would be properly maximising the selling what I've currently got. But I guess at the same time, the reason I don't have as many sales as I want is just because the artwork, maybe the quality just isn't there. It's kind of like, I kind of feel like, if I'm honest, my stuff is good enough so that it deserves to sell more than it does, but perhaps not enough to just create a living from. Like I don't think I'm the sort of artist who can go away, create a portfolio of 50 artworks, and then expect to sustain an entire life of earnings off of those 50 artworks. I'm definitely not at that level yet. But so I need to up my game there. But in the meantime, I want to work on this card game, Total Blast, I call it. And it's 2-player head-to-head battling card game. And I decided I would add little characters into it. The trouble is, I started drawing them a few years ago. I feel like my ability has gone up a little bit since then, but I'm kind of having to match the style of my old ability with what I'm doing now. Anyway, so I'm going to try this week, if I can, to at least create a couple of characters, even if it's just because I normally sketch them like I've done here, which I then ink, which I'm doing now on the screen. And after that, I then lay the flat tones, and then I render those tones. I think I've got a video of the characters I've been drawing in this video, in the last couple of videos. I think I've actually got me just laying down the flat tones, or the basic sort of tones for those. So I will probably share those on the next video. But like I've said, I'm aware of the fact that anyone watching this is probably going to think, oh, okay, this is sort of artwork catering for 15-year-olds. Well, I'm not that I'm necessarily at this juncture trying to get every artist on board, but I could imagine some other type, like the 50-year-old mother of 3, maybe soon to be grandmother, who likes to paint floral canvases. I would like to get to a stage where my advice, or I would learn from my own journey of trying to become an artist, so that I could help even people like that, people that are just not doing what I'm doing, I want to say. But yeah, she would never want to watch this video, because she would look at this artwork and instantly be like, nah, this is not for me. But you can only work with what you've got, and I'm not necessarily ashamed to show what I work on, but I realise it's not very universal. And I'm doing two things. I'm documenting my personal progress of trying to make it to becoming a full-time artist, doing my thing, which is kind of this, or maybe something a bit different in the near future. But I've got this sort of secondary goal of after having learnt what to do, to then pass that knowledge on, so that no one has to go through the sort of struggles that I've necessarily had to go through. And I think, to be honest, that is what people out in the wide world, people in the wild would care far more about the sort of general advice that could apply to them than just, here's Ben talking about his day and him trying to get through some random project that I don't know about, I don't care about. Because people, like I say, they want it about them. And fair enough. So okay, there you go. There's statement, little goals for the video series so far. Pretty much done with this ink and this bit of artwork. So I think I'll move on to the tones in the next video if I've got some topics that I want to discuss.